Welcome to the International Policing Podcast on capacity building and development.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Today, we're focusing on evaluating and then adjusting our capacity building initiatives.
Evaluation is so critical in helping us figure out what is effective.
It's almost like a detective.
Exactly.
Examining evidence.
You're spot on.
But we're using this information to refine and adapt our approaches.
And to make sure we're getting the most out of the work that we do, it's really about maximizing our impact.
It's interesting because evaluation seems closely tied to the initial planning phase.
It is.
It also plays a big role in the idea of continuous improvement.
Absolutely. Think of it as a cycle. We plan, we implement, we evaluate, we adjust, and then we start the cycle again.
So evaluation is really that feedback mechanism that lets us make those necessary course corrections along the way.
Precisely. It ensures we stay on track and achieve our goals. Let's say we have a training program, and through our evaluation, we discover that participants aren't fully grasping the material. Maybe they need more hands-on exercises or real-world applications to reinforce the concepts. We can use that information to fine-tune the training and make it more effective.
So it's about constantly refining and improving our programs. Now, when it comes to evaluating these initiatives, who are the key players involved?
Well, we have both internal and external actors. Internally, we have oversight bodies. They make sure that the initiatives align with our overall strategy and goals. We also have professional standards units that focus on ethical conduct and ensuring our initiatives meet the highest professional standards. Externally, we often bring in independent evaluators.
And they bring a fresh perspective.
They do. They offer an objective assessment of our work, helping us to see things from different angles.
I imagine having both those internal and external perspectives is crucial for a thorough and balanced evaluation.
Absolutely. It provides a comprehensive picture of the initiative's strengths and weaknesses.
So by working together, these various actors ensure we get a well-rounded and insightful evaluation. Now let's talk about the guiding principles that ensure these evaluations are robust, credible, and ethical. What are some of those core principles?
Well, first and foremost, we have professionalism. This means adhering to established evaluation standards and ethics.
Makes sense.
We also need to be honest in our data collection and analysis. That means being transparent and objective in everything we do.
So no cutting corners or manipulating data to fit a certain narrative.
We need to be completely impartial, avoiding any bias or conflict of interest. And of course, we must be sensitive to human rights and gender issues throughout the evaluation process.
It seems that these principles really underpin the integrity and reliability of the evaluation.
They do. They ensure that the findings are trustworthy and can be used to make meaningful improvements. For example, if we're evaluating a program aimed at promoting gender equality within a police force, we need to be mindful of the potential impact on all genders.
Absolutely.
We need to use evaluation methods that are sensitive to those nuances and ensure that our findings are used to create a more inclusive and equitable environment.
It's clear that these principles are not just abstract ideas, but are actually crucial for conducting evaluations that are both rigorous and ethical. Now let's break down the process of conducting an evaluation into manageable phases. What's a good starting point for our listeners?
We always begin with announcement and engagement. This means informing everyone who's involved.
So being transparent about the upcoming evaluation.
Transparency is key. We want to clearly explain the purpose of the evaluation, how we're going to conduct it, and what we hope to achieve.
And by engaging with stakeholders from the outset.
Yes, this helps to build trust and ensure that everyone feels heard and understood.
That makes sense. What comes after that initial phase?
The next step is the evaluation design phase. This is where we define the scope of the evaluation and identify the specific questions we'll be asking.
So it's about setting clear objectives and outlining what we want to learn.
We need to carefully consider what data we need to collect to answer those questions and choose the most appropriate methods for gathering that information.
It sounds like a crucial step in ensuring that the evaluation is focused and well-structured.
It is. A well-designed evaluation lays a strong foundation for the entire process.
And then comes the actual data collection phase.
Here, we put our plan into action. We use a variety of methods like surveys, interviews, focus groups, and document reviews to gather information.
It seems like a mix of both quantitative and qualitative data is important to get a comprehensive understanding.
Absolutely. We need both the numbers and the stories behind them.
So we can see both the trends and the individual experiences. What's next?
The next step is data analysis. We take all that information we gathered and make sense of it. We identify patterns and trends, and we look for insights that can help us answer our evaluation questions.
So it's about taking a mass of data and turning it into actionable knowledge.
Precisely. It's about using rigorous methods to ensure that our analysis is accurate and reliable.
And finally, we reach the reporting phase.
Yes. This is where we communicate our findings clearly and concisely.
So the report is the culmination of all our hard work.
It is. It presents the key findings, conclusions, and recommendations that emerged from the evaluation.
And it's important to remember that the report isn't just an end product.
No, it's a starting point for making improvements. It should be a valuable tool that informs decision-making and leads to concrete actions to strengthen our initiatives.
So it's about ensuring that the findings are translated into real-world change.
Exactly.
Now let's move on to the adjustment phase.
It's where we take all those valuable insights from the evaluation and use them to strengthen our initiatives.
How should implementers approach responding to the evaluation results?
Well, they need to carefully consider each recommendation and think about what it would take to put it into practice.
So it's about weighing the potential benefits and challenges of implementing each recommendation.
They need a process for deciding which recommendations to accept,
right?
Which ones to maybe adapt or modify, and which ones might not be feasible at this time.
It sounds like a collaborative process.
It is, and it's important to document the decisions made and the reasons behind them. This helps to ensure accountability and transparency.
So it's not just about making changes, it's about being transparent about the decision-making process. What are some of the challenges police advisors face when evaluating these initiatives, especially in international contexts?
One of the biggest challenges is the ever-changing environment we often work in.
Okay.
Things can shift so quickly.
Right.
The security situation, the political landscape, access to information, all these things can impact our evaluations.
So flexibility is key.
Absolutely. We also need to be mindful of cultural differences.
Of course.
And language barriers.
Yeah.
What works in one context might not work in another. We need to be sensitive to local customs and norms.
And it's crucial to build trust and rapport with local partners.
It is. We're guests in their country. We need to work collaboratively and respectfully. Sometimes we also have to make adjustments based on the resources available. We might not always have access to the ideal data or the latest technology.
So finding that balance between maintaining rigor and being pragmatic is essential.
Precisely.
What strategies can police advisors use to overcome these challenges?
Building strong relationships with local partners is paramount.
Right. We've talked about that.
They can help us navigate those complexities and ensure that our evaluation is culturally appropriate. Right. We also need to be flexible and adaptable in our approach.
Okay.
Things might not always go according to plan. We need to be prepared to adjust our timelines, our methods, even our evaluation questions, if necessary.
So constant reassessment is key.
It is. Let's talk about communication during evaluations. It's essential to keep stakeholders informed.
Right.
From the very beginning, we need to tell them why we're doing the evaluation, how we're going to do it, and what we hope to achieve.
So open and transparent communication is vital.
It is. It helps to build trust and buy-in.
Now let's dive into the adjustment phase. Once the evaluation is done and we've shared the findings, what steps do we take to adjust our initiatives?
The first step is to carefully review the findings and really understand what they're telling us.
So it's not just about reading the report, it's about digging deeper and understanding the nuances.
Then we need to figure out how to respond to each recommendation. Do we fully accept it? Do we partially accept it? Or do we reject it? And it's crucial to involve stakeholders in those discussions.
So again, collaboration is key.
It is. We want to make sure everyone has a voice.
And it's important to document those decisions, right?
Absolutely. That helps to track our progress
Yes.
and learn from our experiences.
Can you give us some examples of adjustments that might be made?
Sure. Sometimes, based on the findings, we might need to revise the objectives of the program.
Okay.
Or maybe adjust the activities we're doing.
So being willing to make significant changes if needed.
Right. Other times, we might need to reallocate resources, maybe shift funding to a different area, focus our efforts on a particular region.
So using the evaluation to make strategic decisions about resource allocation.
Now, let's talk about monitoring and evaluation as an ongoing process.
Okay.
Evaluation shouldn't just happen at the end of a program.
Right.
It needs to be embedded throughout the entire program cycle.
So constant monitoring and adjustment.
Precisely. We need to be tracking our progress, identifying challenges early on, and making course corrections along the way.
Are there specific tools or techniques for ongoing monitoring and evaluation?
One common tool is the logical framework.
Okay.
It's basically a roadmap for the program.
I see.
It outlines the key activities, outputs, and outcomes.
Right.
And it helps us track our progress toward those goals.
What about the role of feedback in the monitoring and evaluation process?
Feedback is essential for learning and improvement. We need to be actively seeking feedback from all stakeholders,
including the people who are directly benefiting from the programs.
Absolutely. And we need to use that feedback to make our programs better.
So feedback is not just about collecting information, it's about using it to drive positive change.
It's all about learning from our experiences and using that knowledge to improve.
So how can we capture and share those lessons learned?
Documentation is crucial.
Right.
We need to create reports and case studies that detail what worked well, what didn't work so well, and most importantly, why.
So it's about going beyond just describing the outcome. It's about understanding the factors that contributed to those outcomes.
Precisely. We can also share lessons learned through workshops and seminars, where practitioners can come together and exchange ideas.
So creating a space for collaborative learning.
Yes. And it's important to incorporate these lessons into training programs so that new police advisors can benefit from the experiences of others.
It seems like creating a culture of continuous learning is essential.
It is. We should always be striving to improve. This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the importance of evaluation to the specific challenges faced by police advisors in international contexts. As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with this thought. Evaluation is not just about ticking boxes or fulfilling requirements. It's about making a real difference. It's about ensuring that our efforts to build capacity and foster development in international policing are truly effective and sustainable. It's about making the world a safer and more just place for everyone. Thank you for joining us on the International Policing Podcast on capacity building and development. Until next time, may your endeavors be marked by effectiveness, sustainability, and an unwavering commitment to excellence in international policing.
Thank you for being with us.